Today, I've been getting excited about dirt, which I'll clarify. I've been drawing some new tile sets. Tile sets are the building blocks for a lot of games. They're images that you build into a palette so that you can draw them into all kinds of shapes. I've got this horrible looking placeholder scene that I need to replace with something more passable for the base of a town called Barkham. Barkham is a small town that's important to the early story of the game. Adding a path to the ground and a few buildings is going to be enough for a start for now. So to begin with, I've got a base path colour and I added some shapes in a lighter colour to break it up. Avoid this being too repetitive when it's used a lot of times together. I've made some of the shapes overlap the edges so they run off the top and the bottom or either side. I've then added some shadows between and the outlines of some of the darker round shapes. Then I've added some further darker highlights so to give it a bit more depth. And then I've added some highlights to raise up parts of the round shapes. Lastly, I've blurred the edges of all the distinct shapes so that they blend a bit more and the contrast isn't too sharp anywhere. When it's repeated, this gives me this, which I think looks too bright and a bit too busy. So in Aseprite, which is the drawing software I'm using for all my pixel art, I use the shading brush to darken the whole thing. This is a really cool tool because it lets you select a range of colours, and with each brush stroke, you move all the colours further along the line by one space. This lets you make things darker really easily, swap out colours, and get really cool effects, like making a hole. Once it's a bit darker, I use a shading tool to get some edges around the base tile, so it could blend into the other base background colour. Using the base tile for all these and shading away details will mean that everything lines up. Next, I use these dirt tiles to create some dirt tiles with grass poking over the edges to handle divides between grass and dirt path. So for these, I added some little pixel details for grass pointing out, a second darker green to show some texture, and lastly, a very dark highlight colour around them. Still in Aseprite, I tried some different shapes and configurations and added some tiles that I thought I was missing that I might need. Here's my working. And here's the tile set I got from this, including some basic buildings. This PNG is then added to Unity and sliced into individual sprites, added to my tile map so I can draw these into the world, which then lets me turn this horrible placeholder into this, and then into something that looks a lot better.